Thank you for tapping in. This is the Bear Trap Podcast. And on today's show, we're going to be talking about men's mental health. June is Men's Mental Health Awareness Month. So we're going to try to dive into it, get some information, and try to get better. Roll the intro.
1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The Bear Trap Podcast. Here we like to talk about music, news, and entertainment. But most importantly, we like to talk about life. So get yourself ready, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
What is going on? What's going on? This is your guy Bear, and you have stepped into the Bear Trap Podcast on another edition. Today we are talking about men's mental health. It's something that we don't talk about all the time. It's something that's always swept under the carpet because we men and we don't care. You know, we gonna get it done. You know, we gonna keep on pushing. You know what I mean? We got a lot of pride. We strong and all that stuff. But one thing is for sure, if your mind ain't right, nothing else is going to be right. So, I wanted to talk about it because I'm a man, and I got a lot of things that I be dealing with. First and foremost, before we even get all the way into this, I'm not an expert. Let me say that. I'm not giving out advice to anybody. If you hear something that could help you, take it. You know what I mean? If it ain't something that's up your alley or you feel like the information is not absolutely the way you think it should be, go do your research. I'm not telling anybody to do anything. I just wanted to talk about the subject, because it plays a big part in our lives. And, sometimes my brain be going crazy, man. You're talking about school for the kids, getting them there, keeping them straight with their grades and stuff. You're talking about work. You're talking about a whole bunch of different subjects, a whole bunch of things, that you have to deal with as a man. A man that's actually taking care of business. Even if you're not taking care of business, you're probably getting taxed by mental health because you ain't having the emotion that you want. You know what I mean? And you're getting frustrated. We get wore down as men. That's something that, we don't pay attention to. It's like jumping in your car, smashing on the gas and driving it year after year after year without doing an oil change, without doing no spark plugs, without doing no brake job. That car gonna break down. Your mind is that car. You know what I mean? I had to learn that. Like, sometimes I got to step back from things and just reset. Even if it's uncomfortable resetting, sometimes you got to reset, because if you lose this, you lose everything, And so there's a lot of people that depend on you. There's a lot of people that love you. I'm here to tell you that, whoever you are watching this. And so, our existence is important, and how we show up, in our kids' lives or in our families' lives and our coworkers' lives is important. You know what I mean? And they may need to lean on you, but how they gonna lean on you if your mind gone and you ain't thinking straight? What if somebody step on your brand new fresh Air Force Ones, walking through the club or something, and your mind ain't all the way there, and you done fired on somebody? You look up, you in jail, you done lost your job because you got a charge, and you can't go to work because you got to go do 30 days in the county or something. Just because your mind, you was already on the edge because you hadn't been doing the necessary maintenance for yourself. This how this thing goes. This how these things play out. And they be like, why he do that? Why he go crazy like that? Or why he do this? Or why? It was a reason why. There's always a reason why. We look at people and be like, they crazy. They, this and this and that. They suffering from something. There's always a reason why. People ain't out here acting crazy and doing all this different stuff just for fun. Something's wrong. Something is wrong somewhere, Then you add drugs on top of that. If I'm not mistaken, that would make you a dual diagnosis, meaning that you have a drug addiction and you have a mental health issue. This stuff gets tricky and it gets complicated, you know. So, you got to pray, and ask your higher power to help you, keep your mind clear. I used to, I trip now in my older age. I trip now like my grandmother used to say, I woke up in my right mind all the time. And that is a thing. That's a thing. It don't seem like a thing, but wake up without your wherewithals, without your understanding, and see how your day go. It get real, man. And so, this month, June being Men's Mental Health Awareness Month, I just wanted to dive into it a little bit. As an average Joe, I'm an average person sitting here on a podcast, and I want to see, you know what I'm saying? It does take a little bit of courage. I'm gonna tell you that right now. It takes a little. You gotta lower your pride. You gotta bring your pride on down, and you do have to do some self-searching. It might cost you $30-$40 in gas, and another $20 to eat out by yourself and take a long drive to walk on the beach or to breathe some air somewhere. But it's worth it. I'm going to tell you, I do it from time to time because I have to. Even if I don't feel like doing it, I do it. Why? Because my kids depend on me being sharp. They depend on me to respond correctly when they talk to me about their problems and things they're going through. And I don't even have room to take in their problems to help them work their stuff out because my mind is so gone. I'm so, life will take you over. You hear me? My whole beard is gray right now. Life will take you over if you can't manage it, and nobody's perfect and we don't have all the answers. I'm not telling you, some fix all type of situation right now. I'm just saying, let's be mindful, let's be mindful of doing the self-care. Because when you do the work, you get the results. It don't matter how much work you do. Do some of the work and get some of the results. And if you like that, do some more work so you can get some more results. That's what we're dealing with when you're talking about mental health and learning. And because there's a few different things that got to come into play for you to be able to learn something. Your pride got to come down. Your courage got to come up. And your ears got to be open. If you can't do those things, what are we doing? What are we doing? You wasting somebody's time, or you just gonna run around and jogging in place? Come on, man. We can't keep doing that. I just want to take this time in the podcast to really, really, because there's a lot of topics and stuff and subjects, I'm gonna get to in the process, but there's a real big Juneteenth celebration happening here in my city, and within that event, there is a consortium or a so to speak of mental health awareness. They have an area and they have clinicians. They have different people coming out to just talk to you. You know what I mean? I'm here in Stockton, California. The Juneteenth celebration is happening here on the 14th. At the San Joaquin Fairgrounds. So if you're anywhere around my area, tap in there and go in there. If you're in Sacramento, theirs is happening around the 21st. But these services are hard to come by, whenever they have symposiums and different things like that, step in there, man. If you can, if it's free, if the community's putting it on, because these clinicians and these counselors get paid a lot of money to talk to people. They go to school for many years to be able to understand what you're telling them about what you're going through. And so, I would implore, I would advise y'all to take advantage of this. Because if you called one of them and you wanted to step in their office, you're gonna have to swipe your credit card, because they get paid. They get paid to listen to you and to diagnose you and to help you. It's not all paid for by Health Plan of San Joaquin or by Kaiser has, what they have, but I'm just saying, like, people on the lower level of this situation, which I've lived on and been on for many years. It's like, man, you just get swept under the rug. So it's like these different opportunities to get that knowledge and to get that shake that hand and meet that person, and they may speak some life into you. You know what I'm saying? At a Juneteenth festival of all places. Yes, they're there for you. They're there for the community. They're giving back. They're giving of their time. They're donating their time. And so, keep your ears to the street and keep your eyes peeled, man. Because when you need help and you need a word, and when you need, you know, a direction, you know, you get it from where you can get it from. So, you know, I, you know, I'm asking y'all, if wherever it's at, wherever your help is at, and whatever you have to do to go get it, please don't be afraid to go and go get it. You never know. A 5-minute conversation with a clinician can actually give you the clarity you need to make it, to make it through the year, to make it through the month, can put you on a path of healing. That's what we talking about. We're talking about healing right now. We're not talking about pride. We're not talking about clout. We're not talking about none of that stuff. We're talking about the problems that we having, you know. And I ain't no big time community advocate or somebody that's out here on the front lines. I'm just an average dude, man. But I do know and understand the importance of mental health as a black man out here. You know what I'm saying? I do understand that. And that's why, I'm trying to, use my platform. It's not big now, but we will be real big. Use my platform to reach out. Even if I touch one or two men out there that's working every day, all day, wore out, fighting with their girlfriend, fighting with their wife, or having problems with their kids. This stuff tear us down, man. I know, I've lived through it. This stuff will tear you down if your mind isn't regulated. You got to have your mind, you got to do the maintenance. I'm sorry. There's no other way to put it. You got to do the maintenance. Even if that means picking up a book, even if that means taking a walk, even if that means changing your diet, you got to do the maintenance. There's no other way around it, or you will crumble under the pressure. It's a lot of pressure being a man out here and being a go-getter and being a breadwinner, and people are relying on you. Like, we have whole families on our backs. Like, some of us have 2 or 3 families on our backs. Even if it's fine, even if it's not financial, it could be mental, it could be psychological, it could be protection. Like, they may call you when there's a problem with their kids at the school, or a problem in the hood, and you the one that got to show up every time. That stuff plays, it wears you out. There's a lot of life changes and things that go on when we begin to do self-maintenance. So just keep that in mind. Like, as an average person, like, okay, say you're going through something and you don't want everybody in your business. And it's like, okay, we get on the computer, use your phone. That's what we are. Our face always in the phone. We be like this all day long, all day long, all day long. Use your phone. Let me do this real quick, man. Let me do this real quick. I'm gonna go on here. I'm gonna go just straight to Google, right? And I'm gonna see what comes up. Because at some point, you gotta do the work. So, it's like, do you wait until it's a absolute problem, or do you just try to do what you can to, get ahead of it? Because if you wait too long, it's gonna already be too late. Like, if you didn't already slap the dude at the gas station and drug him out of that's too late. You're going to jail now. You already, whipped out on somebody because they needed it. Sometimes people need you to show that you about that life, but your mind, if your mind is regulated, you weigh it out different. before you start acting a fool. Like, for real, you weigh it out way different. You start thinking about your kids and seeing them tonight. You start thinking about your family. You start thinking about different stuff before you just, pop off. You know what I'm saying? And it's important. It's important, man. I'm going right here to Google, man. Let's see. I'm right here in Google. And so I'm going to just type in men's mental health. Oh, I already typed it in. Boom, Google search. And it says there's often a strong focus on men's physical health, fitness, annual checkups, and heart health. But mental well-being is equally as important because mental health is health. Just as the body needs care and attention, so does the emotional and mental well-being. This just off jump, like without having to be somebody that can study and look and you know what I mean. And so the reason why I'm doing this is just to show you that sometimes we have to go get it if it's necessary. Like so it's very very important. This is the National Alliance on Mental Illness, right? The first tab, the first thing I just clicked on it, and sometimes you gotta do this kind of stuff for yourself. It has nothing to do with nobody else. It's just for yourself. You know, they got a little thing on here that says it's not weak to speak. Right on. You know what I'm saying? You know, says there is a silent crisis in men's mental health. One too often, one that too often goes unnoticed or unspoken. Tragically, men are nearly 4 times more likely to die by suicide than women, underscoring the urgent need to break this silence and seek support. Okay, we so quiet, we won't tell nobody nothing. We won't say nothing to nobody about nothing, and we just be crumbling on it. You know what I'm saying? And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's real though. On this one site, they have text, call, or chat in an emergency. You can step away. You can step in the bathroom, get in your car, drive to the park somewhere, and just speak to somebody, before you make a mistake that you can't reverse. You know what I'm saying? And I've dealt with it in my life. I've dealt with it in my family. I deal with, so I'm just speaking from my own experience. I don't have any advice for nobody like that. I'm not a clinician. I'm not somebody that's giving you any kind of health advice. I'm just telling you what I do or what I would do, right? Because I'm not trained or any of that stuff. I'm just an average person, and this is something that we go through as men. My channel was about men's wellness. It's about money, it's about finance, it's about hustle, about being stronger, doing better. And all that stuff stems from mental health. If you have the mindset to do better, the mindset to push further, the mindset to be a better father, to be a better husband, so to speak. And so, you know, this is just Google. I'm not even really, this ain't a book. I didn't go to Barnes and Nobles. I didn't even go that far. I'm just right here, just jump street. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like, it's crazy. So as you see, it's very easy to get some help. Most importantly, build a community around yourself if you can. And that community is probably already there. Y'all probably just not having these types of conversations and stuff like that. Maybe some of y'all do. Y'all check on each other. We check on each other different kinds of ways, and we bond different kinds of ways. But just keep an eye out, for things that's unusual about your brothers, or that looks weird, or that feels weird. Say something about it, man. Ask them, do they want to talk? You good, bro? Like, you know what I mean? We be tapping in with each other. We do. I can't, my circle and a lot of brothers, we tap in with each other, but sometimes, we hide from the tap in. That's the issue. Man, I'm not straight, bro. I don't know what I'm gonna do. It's okay to say that to your brother. And if you're not around brothers that you could say that to, you're around the wrong people. I'm gonna say that again. If you can't say how you feel around your brothers, you're around the wrong people. Those are not your brothers. Those are not people that you need to be around. If you can't say how you feel and they listen and they help you, right? And so, it's deeper than just mental health. Sometimes we're around the wrong people, and so that causes us to have a toxic experience. When we're going through something, they don't care. Like, man up, you need to, man, you acting like a, you know what I mean, and all that different type of stuff. In reality, they just don't understand. You may be dealing with something for real. You may be ready to crash out. Saying that a lot, lady, crash out. And they don't even know. And they just tell you some nonsense that somebody told them. So it's just like, man, just be aware and be mindful. I'm not gonna make this show too long. I just really wanted to get in on it and, do my best to just, encourage everyone, to all the men out there, because I'm a man, I'm a man's man. But I do have a circle of people that I speak to help me keep my mind straight, to help me stay motivated. And I appreciate them brothers, man. And they all not black. And they all not from the hood. And they all don't hang out the same way I hang out. We connect. You know what I mean? We connect. I got a few white partners. I got a few Asian partners, a few Mexican partners. And that's how I grew up. That's how I grew up through high school. We prejudice wasn't tolerated at work when I was growing up. Because we grew up, everybody was broke. Black, white, where I was at, like everybody, we just, we grew up together. And when kids are little, they don't care, And so all of that rant, but man, I appreciate you guys for tapping in. I didn't tell you to like and subscribe and hit that bell because, we try to make our rounds, man, and hit some of these subjects that are important, that can make a difference to people's, push out information and content that somebody can use. You know what I'm saying? And, if anybody want to tap in with me, the Bear Trap Podcast at gmail.com. If you having any kind of, I ain't no counselor, but I can definitely, if you're in a crisis situation and you send me an email, I can definitely point you in the right direction if you are in my area. I appreciate you guys. Much love.
One,
Happy
2, 3, 1, 2, 3. The Bear Trap Podcast. Here we like to talk about music, news, and entertainment. But most importantly, we like to talk about life. So get yourself ready, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Get yourself ready, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. So get yourself ready, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Get yourself ready, let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.